right, everybody, welcome back to What's the Obsession True Crime. And tonight we have a special live stream for you. We are talking about the case against Bryan Kohberger, Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger, or the Idaho 4 case with victims Madison Mogen, Ethan Chapin, Kelly Gonzalez, and Xana Kernodle that happened on November 13th, 2022. A man named Bryan Kohberger was arrested on December 30th, my birthday, 2022, about a month and a half after this horrible crime occurred. And since shortly after that time, this channel and myself have been in touch with two students from the University of Idaho who were very close friends with Ethan Chapin in particular, but were friends with all of the people who were victims in this case, and also the two surviving roommates. And they were, as I've told you many of times, if you've heard me talk about this before, related to these guys, Ethan Chapin's fraternity brothers, the fraternity being Sigma Chi. So over the course of the time that I had been talking to these two guys, I ended up talking to a few other students, including the student, one of the students that lived in 1112 King Road, and that is the house from which the footage that was leaked on the recent Dateline episode, that's where the house came from. And we're going to talk about that in a little while. So we are going to be discussing the newly leaked or released evidence in this case, primarily what was leaked from Dateline. And I know this happened like a week and a half ago now. And also evidence that has been released through legitimate means, through the court. But what is unique about what we're going to discuss here is that we have the students' reaction and response to a lot of that newly disseminated information. And I think this is particularly, relevant since one of these students is one of the people who lived at 1112 King Road at the time that security camera footage was obtained. So welcome to all of you who are here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please hit like, share the link, all the good stuff. So I just want to say hello to everybody, then we'll get started. So, hey, DB Tabe, welcome. It's great to see you, my friend. Hey, Sherry, Warning Label Nina, welcome. Pepper, thank you for all you do, guys. Sherry, Crafted Evidence Podcast, thank you to all of you. Hello, Charlene M. Cox, welcome. It's great to see you here. Let's see, Susan Peterson, welcome. So happy you're here as well. Honey Bun, dare I say hi to you, our very special Honey Bun, creator of all things wonderful. And then here, welcome. How are you doing? I don't know if I could even say that. Edward Schwank, I saw you here too. So welcome to you. Thank you for being here and for all that you do. Let's see. Dr. Vana was here earlier. I don't know if you're still here, but welcome, Brenda B. Let's see. I just don't want to miss anybody. If I did miss you, please say hello, and I will certainly say hello back. Hey, Shay, welcome. It's great to see you as always. And yeah, so I'm just going to go down to current time now, and then we're going to get started. So again, if I missed you, please do not take it personally. I probably just skimmed over you. And that's all that there is to that. So first, just let me play a couple of the, they were the trailers or the premieres or the teasers for that Dateline episode, just so we can sort of, get an overview of what it is they were talking about. And then we'll go into the students' insider reactions and some things that I have to say, and also some theories that they now have and that I actually share. We've discussed it and I share these theories. And hi, Tyler Gilman. Tyler Gilman says, do they only have his DNA on the snap, on the sheath? Is that the only real evidence they have? Well, you are in luck, Tyler, because I created a PowerPoint presentation and let me just change the view, get a little sneak peek at it here. And I did take the liberty of going through all of the evidence against Bryan Kohberger. Here it is listed. I will take the graphics off of the screen when we do go over this so you can actually see it. But there are 19 items, and I probably missed some. So the DNA on the button snap of the knife sheath is only one of them, and we will be going over that very soon. Angel D, hey girl, I play a clip from a previous live stream and I mentioned you in it. So welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. And yes, everybody, please do take a moment and hit like. And Crafted Evidence, my friend, check out our channel, Crafted Evidence Podcast, as Kelly's going to drop some facts, y'all. And that is true. We are facts only on this channel, baby. All right, here we go. Let's see, which is the first one I should add here. Ooh, I think it's this one. We're going to find out.
122 King Road. They saw some man in their house last night.
What happened in that house? It's the crime no one can forget. Never before publicly seen surveillance videos, footage obtained exclusively by Dateline, show a white car circling the block that terrible night, pulling up to the house just before the murders occurred, and speeding away after.
His primary objective now is to get out of there and not to get caught.
Breaking news right now about a major development in a closely watched murder case.
We had some friends that wanted to have a party or a get-together.
Started chatting with this guy. He seemed a little awkward.
I had to eventually ask him to let me focus on playing music.
He had put his number into my phone, and then I had texted him my name.
I think we've all had conversations like, yeah, so we have nothing in common, and that's okay.
You know, the universe intervened and just distracted me from further engaging in that interaction.
Was collecting everything, all the reporting about the incident.
It's very common.
He is Googling phrases related to pornography, passed out, drugged.
These are all themes of power, domination, and control.
What is this business about loving to be in the dark?
He functions under the cloak of darkness. That's where he's comfortable.
I wonder whether Brian Kober...
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to our...
Okay, so we don't need their promo there. So that was just one of them, and I'm just going to roll right into another one.
House just steps from campus. In the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, 4 University of Idaho students, Maddie Mogan, Kaylee Gonsalves, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were stabbed to death. There, he's pleaded not guilty. For the last 2.5 years, Dateline has been on the ground, reporting, gathering, and learning from people with direct knowledge of the case. We've obtained things that have never before been seen publicly, like these security videos from a camera on a house near the murder scene. Videos that show a white sedan, a car that investigators believe was driven by Brian Koberger, making repeated passes of the King Road house that night before the murders. With evidence like this and our reporting, we have assembled a timeline for the weeks, months, and days before and after the murders. Starting with a pool party Koberger attended in July, an exclusive interview with a woman who exchanged numbers with Koberger, then did not return his text.
You know, the universe intervened and for whatever reason just distracted me from further engaging in that interaction.
We'll also reveal records from Koberger's cell phone that are in the possession of law enforcement and Google searches regarding the serial killer Ted Bundy. We have also seen these. Dozens of photos in Koberger's cell phone. Browsing history. Women from Washington State and the University of Idaho, including close friends of the King Road victims. Dateline has also obtained records showing the details when Koberger's phone connected to a cell tower, providing coverage to within 100 meters of the house at 1122 King Road. And in the hours after the murders, details of the timing of phone calls Brian Koberger made to a phone linked to his parents just before the controversial selfie he took. And we'll talk to the mother whose daughter was supposed to be staying in the house the night of the murders, but a change of plans may have saved her daughter's.
Sorry.
So many damaged families. Angela Nevejas told us that her daughter Ashlyn, Maddie Mogan's best friend, moved away from Idaho and now refuses to come home to visit because of the trauma associated with the murders. She's hoping some of that may change and Ashlyn will start to grieve after Brian Koberger's trial. Back to you, Greg and Savannah.
Such a heartbreaking story. Keith, thank you. And we know we'll have more on Dateline. We'll look forward to that. I want to turn now to NBC senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett, who's here. You follow this very closely, too. And now we're starting to see some of the case that the prosecution plans to present. What do you think is the significance and how compelling will it be to a jury?
Yeah, there's no question you can't watch that and not think the prosecution has a very strong case here. But there are defenses that Koberger's team can offer. It's just a question if the jury finds them convincing. So on the white sedan, for instance, happens, nobody sees Kohberger get in and out of that car. Nobody even sees him leave the house. All you have is a surviving roommate seeing bushy eyebrows, but not actually IDing Kohberger there. On the cell phone tower, they can put up an expert to say cell phone towers are not that accurate. We already know that they're going to say he liked to drive around at night, and so there's nothing that suggests that he was actually casing the joint, as that's basically the prosecution's theory there. Googling, it's not a crime to Google serial killers.
Laura Jarrett doing her best defense attorney this morning. And you know, you find in trials, you know, any particular piece of evidence can be batted down, but sometimes it's the totality of the evidence.
Of course, the biggest piece is that his DNA is found in the crime scene, and the defense is going to have to try to explain that, according to prosecutors.
What about motive, Laura? The fact that even now, a couple years after the murders themselves, no motive has been presented.
I think I've always found that curious. Jurors like to attach to a story, and I think they're going to want to at least hear what the state has to offer on that. And I think by the time we get to trial, prosecutors are going to have something. Was it stalking? Did he target them? They're going to want to understand what the prosecution's theory is. Why did he pick these particular students?
But they don't have, do they have to?
No, they do not have to offer a motive. We should be clear about that. That's not a part of the case, but I'm just saying as they're laying it out to flesh it out, they might want to.
Makes sense, Laura. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And Craig getting his court TV on.
All right, so.
Years, Dateline has been on the.
Sorry about that. Okay. So let me just take that down off screen. Okay. So, you know, in addition to the information that was leaked by Dateline, so to speak, there is more information, of course, has come out through the court documents. And again, we are going to go over exactly what that information is that was leaked from Dateline. We're going to go over the students' reaction to it, the students that we've had a relationship since right after this crime happened, two of them who were fraternity brothers of Ethan Chapin. But I just want to go over all of kind of the latest breaking stuff right now. So going on in the courts, you know, last week there was supposed to be a final hearing before the trial, but hey, that ain't going to happen, baby. This trial's going to go on forever, it seems like, right? So there was a secret hearing today, and it was a hearing that it's described as discussion regarding the role of victims, and it is sealed. Now, we do know that Shannon Gray, the attorney for Kelly Gonzalez's family, was invited in good energy to this hearing. It wasn't like going to be an adversary situation for him. He was invited to the hearing to be part of the conversation. So there is also a motion to continue. There's a motion of continuance. So what that means, if you don't know, is that the defense wants to extend this trial out even further, even longer than it has already been going, even further in the future than we can already see right now. Right now, as you probably maybe or maybe don't know, it's scheduled to begin in August, with jury selection beginning in the very end of July. So the defense is like, oh, yo, hold up. We don't have enough time, which is what they've been saying all along. We need a continuance. We need that trial to be pushed out even further. Now, one of the questions people have is, does it have anything to do with the information that was leaked through Dateline? I mean, this was a legitimate leak. Dateline found out this information somehow in their previous episodes. They also leaked or disclosed or disseminated information that later proved to be accurate, as we found out through successive court filings that were released. Thank you, Judge Hippler, for honoring the Constitution. They were correct about most of the assertions that they did make. So there is a lot of reason to believe, in addition to corroborating evidence that we already know to be true, that the leak, so to speak, or the information disseminated by Dateline is accurate. I want to bring into the stream just a little clip about the judge's reaction to this leaked or illicitly disseminated information, because really that's what it is. Because as y'all know, there's an extremely broad and strict gag order hanging over this case, has been basically since the beginning. Oh, another thing just mentioning, because it's going to be mentioned in this clip, I'm pretty sure, is that, you know, the defense has been pushing this theory of an alternative suspect, which is kind of interesting because legally you pick one defense, okay? You have an alibi, or you have a theory of alternative suspect, or you have defense insanity, but you don't just kind of like throw all of those, you know, possible defenses at the wall and see what sticks. But we do know that the defense alibi, in air quotes, that Koberger's attorneys tried to put forth is not truly an alibi. It is fully incomplete. An alibi would have a testimony from a witness saying that they saw you in a certain place at a certain time by a certain person. And Bryan Kohberger's alibi, air quotes, has none of that.
The judge overseeing the Idaho College murders trial, giving the defense one last chance to try to convince him to allow them to present an alternate perpetrator theory to the jury.
Receive the defense's proffer regarding alternate perpetrators. That will be sealed. Provide me with whatever actual evidence you have that supports those allegations, rather than just allegations.
Let's bring in Anjanette Levy. She is a host of the Law and Crime Network. When you hear the judge, Anjanette, say, bring me the evidence, it sounds like the proffer didn't include a lot of actual evidence. It just sort of maybe put forward some theories or something.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like that, John, and thanks so much for having me. The judge has been pretty clear that they're going to have to meet certain guidelines for him to allow this alternate perpetrator theory in. The defense has already indicated that they're going to go with a theory that there were 2 killers and 2 weapons involved. They have an expert who's going to testify for them that there were 2 weapons involved in these crimes because the injuries to the 4 victims in the case were different. And
sounds like we're going to need some Kenneth Kinsley from the Murdaugh trial. He was the expert witness that completely changed my mind from I didn't know if Alec Murdaugh was guilty. And when I heard him testify, I was floored. Bring on Kinsley, everybody. Where are you, man? Where are you? I'm connected with him on Twitter. We'll see if he can come testify for this case.
Caused possibly by 2 different weapons. So it will be interesting to see what they ultimately present. As you heard, the judge said these things are under seal right now, so we don't know who they're offering up as these alternate suspects, but there is case law in Idaho that says they have to meet a certain standard in order to present this evidence to the jury.
But the key to the case, the thing that really led to the arrest of Bryan Kohberger, is DNA that was found on the knife sheath inside the home, and the authorities say it's Bryan Kohberger's DNA. So even if there was somebody else involved, it would seem that the case against Kohberger is pretty strong.
It does seem like a very strong piece of evidence, and we don't know how exactly the defense is going to attack that. It is Kohberger's DNA on the knife sheath, but they've suggested that it could have been transferred onto that knife sheath by somebody else. And they've always said in these pretrial hearings, how did that knife sheath get there? So it will be interesting to see how the defense explains Bryan Kohberger's DNA being on the inner snap of that knife sheath. I actually have one of those sheaths here in my office. I could show it to you in just a second, but it's on the inner snap of that knife sheath. They didn't test the top of the knife sheath button. They tested the inner snap. And that is where the DNA was found. Plus, they have those Amazon records, John, that show that Bryan Kohberger, or at least somebody in his family, they're suggesting possibly somebody in his family could have purchased the knife sheath, bought that knife.
Okay, so we do know about that. So I thought there's a video that also talks about some of the judge's reaction to those Dateline leaks. A segue into our next segment.
Correspondent Brian Enton has been on this case from day one and is in that courtroom today, and he's with me now live. Brian, I shudder. I absolutely shudder at the thought that journalism may be a reason that evidence that is so compelling could be pulled from a trial. Was there any discussion about that today?
No, and it's hard to imagine that they would just pull the evidence. I think it's going to make jury selection harder because you've got a lot of people who saw the Dateline episode or have now seen all that evidence that wasn't supposed to be made public. But you made a good point. I mean, Judge Hippler was angry. It was obvious when I was inside the courtroom. He talked about the possibility of a special prosecutor. That is someone to come in and investigate and possibly prosecute and charge someone who's responsible for the leaks. But he didn't bring up Dateline in the courtroom. He didn't say the words Dateline. What happened is after court, suddenly there was a new filing that popped up almost immediately, and it was from the judge. And that's where he addressed the Dateline issue and said, this Dateline episode aired, there was a big leak. And then he started to name all the different agencies and all of the evidence and how he wanted all of that to be preserved. Text messages between police officers, phone calls, so that they can get to the bottom of where the leak came from.
Yeah, for me, again, this is another reason that gag orders are not a good idea. I get why. I just think that they're really fast and loose with gag orders nowadays. I feel like I heard something about Judge Hippler adding 2 more.
By the way, it's one of those rare occasions when I agree with Ashley Banfield. There are fast and loose gag orders these days. This one among the top of those in that category, in my opinion.
Alternate jurors, like worried that, you know, it's going to get so bad that they're going to have to boot jurors left and right.
Yeah, and he seemed to blame that on Dateline in court. Again, he didn't say Dateline, but he said something like, because of what happened last Friday, I think we need to add 2 more alternate jurors. So he is clearly peeved about this Dateline episode. They've been so careful with this gag order and all of these secret hearings. The fact that all of this got out, I mean, a lot of information and visuals, he seems like he wants to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, let's talk about the alternate suspect theory. I have been fascinated by the defense and the suggestion that somebody else must have committed these killings. You can't just come into court and start throwing names out there. I mean, innocent people could be caught up in your effort to clear your guy, right? So where are we with that? And also, is it alternate suspect or alternate suspects, plural?
So I'm told that it's I keep forgetting. I keep having a hard time saying it. Alternate suspects, plural. Alternate suspects. A hard time saying alternate. Instead of just one person. But it's been sealed. But the motion has been sealed. It was filed yesterday. The judge today said he's keeping it secret for good reason, like you said. I mean, you know, they started throwing these names around. The only person who's been charged is Bryan Kohberger. But the judge was clear that he wants to see evidence rather than allegations, almost making it sound like the filing from the defense wasn't really beefy enough. Listen to what he said in court, Ashley.
1, provide me with whatever actual evidence you have that supports those allegations, rather than just allegations. And 2, provide for me how it is you believe that what you are offering is admissible.
So alternative perpetrators, that's what he's talking about. I was actually able to say at that time. And so basically now he's told the defense, you need to beef up your motion. We're going to have a hearing about it in June. It'll probably obviously be in secret. And they'll kind of go from there.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
Calm down, Chris Cuomo. I love Chris Cuomo. Do you guys know that? I do. I love Chris Cuomo. All right, so let me bring that down. Okay, so, you know, we heard all of that. There is definitely a lot going on. Now, I want to bring into the stream just, you know, somebody asked earlier, and then I want to go over some of your comments, and we're going to talk about the students' reaction. Somebody asked earlier, you know, is the DNA the only evidence? Well, as I said, luckily, I made a little PowerPoint presentation of a number of things, including a list of the evidence. Now, let me find a way to, okay, is that the best? I'm just going to take everything down so we can see it most clearly, including myself, so we can make it bigger. There we go. All right. Oh, go back to the first page. All right, I'm just going to read through it. So we have the DNA found at the crime scene on the button snap of the knife sheath. Brian Enton, I understand not being able to say some words sometimes. Number 2, Koberger drives a white Elantra. License plate changed after murders, and also his Elantra only has 1 plate on it. And we know that the suspect's vehicle only has 1 license plate on it because in Pennsylvania, you only have to have 1 plate. I lived in Pennsylvania for a while. That is true. He's a PhD candidate in criminology, and he knows CSI methods. He lived at Washington State University, which is close to the University of Idaho. Clearly, some of this is circumstantial, and situational, but I'm just like, this is what's against him. Number 5, cell phone data, phone turning off at the time of murders, and then pinging along the route that matches what I'm about to describe below. Multiple security cameras catch the white Elantra en route from WSU to Moscow, and then back just at the right time, before and then after the crime. Number 7, cell data. Brian Koberger visited 1122 King Road 23 times before the murders within 100 yards of the house. And I think that's something we learned through Dateline, right? Number 8, cell data. He pinged at 1122 King Road hours after the murders, but before the 911 call. Sorry, I was just reading a text from one of you. I just want to make sure it wasn't something serious. Number 9, he purchased the K-bar knife, the sheath, and the sharpener with a gift card that he purchased through Amazon. So he purchased the gift card, and then he purchased the knife, sheath, the sharpener, and the knife with a gift card. Ding, ding, ding. Number 10, the K-bar was delivered to Brian Koberger's house, and he also checked up on it through his phone, checked up on the delivery. Number 11, he tried to delete the Amazon search history and purchase history after the murders. Next, he bought the black balaclava, that ski mask-like situation from Dick's Sporting Goods. We have the receipt. Number 13, witness sees intruder wearing a black mask that covers his whole face, looking like a balaclava. Number 14, the selfie hours after the murders. Number 15, search history of dark pornography indicating interest in non-consensual encounters. I shouldn't have said the P word. Sorry, YouTube. Please forgive me for being an adult, grown-ass adult. Number 16, Googling the M word, then his name. 17, interest in Ted Bundy, including a video with a thumbnail with a black hoodie. Then he took those eerie selfies with a black hoodie that look an awful lot like Ted Bundy on that thumbnail of that YouTube video he watched. Number 18, BK's reported change in behavior and demeanor after the murders. And number 19, troubled history and self-described emotional detachment from all others. So of that evidence, now, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I think just going through that, and that is what I could think of, looking at sources, contributing to this list, is what I know from having been studying this case for such a while. I know I haven't covered it as much lately. I told some of you I had to take a break from it after, having our 2 student sources here. There was a lot of threats to myself and the channel and just really ugliness about that. And I decided to take a step back from it for my just own, sense of doing what I needed to do. All right. Whoop. We're not going there yet. Well, let's see. I have to go through that. I just ordered them wrong, I think. Oh, I didn't catch. Oops. I didn't get my new slide. I just listed of that evidence. What was the evidence that was recently leaked or recently disseminated or leaked through that Dateline episode? Okay. So that was that. Let's see. I have to remember what I've got here. Okay. All right. So one of the new pieces of information that I haven't mentioned here that was learned in the Dateline episode, you know what? Do forgive me. I'm just going to I'm going to play a video. I'm just going to take a moment to update that PowerPoint because I just want to have it to refer to. So just give me a second here.
On YouTube channel.
1122 King Road. They saw some man in their house last night.
What happened? No one can forget. Never before publicly seen surveillance videos, footage obtained exclusively by Dateline, show a white car circling the block that terrible night, pulling up to the house just before the murders occurred, and speeding away after.
His primary objective now is to get out of there. and not to get caught.
Breaking news right now about a major development in a closely watched murder case.
We had some friends that wanted to have a party or a get-together.
There's drinks, and everyone's having a good time.
Started chatting with this guy. He seemed a little awkward.
I had to eventually ask him to let me focus on playing music.
He had put his number into my phone, and then I had texted him my name.
I think we've all had conversations like, yeah, so we have nothing in common, and that's okay.
You know, the universe intervened and just distracted me from further engaging in that interaction.
Was collecting everything, all the reporting about the incident.
It's very common.
He is Googling phrases related to pornography. Passed out, drugged.
These are all themes of...
Oops. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that.
What is this business about loving to be in the dark?
He functions under the cloak of darkness. That's where he's comfortable.
I wonder whether Brian Koberger...
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe to our Dateline YouTube channel to get new videos every week and to watch previous videos anytime you want. 24/7, 7 days a week.
Everybody watch Dateline. Uh-oh. And I want to talk to you guys about what you think about, you know, what Dateline did there. So I can't bring that to stream, so I'm just going to share the screen here to get this one slide of the slideshow I made for you guys. All right. Okay, and that one's it. And let's see, can you see that? Okay. Share. All right. Yep, I think. Okay, so what were the details that was revealed on Dateline? We have the P-word searches for pornography searches for forced, drugged, and asleep. Guys, right? The 11/12 King Road footage was leaked with, I think, 8 timings of footage from that house. We're going to talk about that in detail in a minute. Confirmation of suspicion of Koberger's breaking into his colleague/friend's apartment. Remember that when we now know that this was his colleague who he shared an office with. At some point, she lost her key. She told Koberger she couldn't find it. Then the key suddenly manifested back in her drawer. But she went home and she found that a cake that she had baked and sat on the top of the stove was now inside the oven, and her makeup was arranged like neatly, but on top of the toilet seat or the back of the toilet. I'm not sure. Hey, McJay, how are you doing? Great to see you. Very strange. You know, she had asked Koberger to put in a security camera system that she bought, but she couldn't, you know, figure out how to do herself. She spent the night at his house that night. She clearly felt safe with him. Then she started to think twice about it. We also know that Koberger viewed or saved videos of the murder 60 times. There were also the photos of those students from WSU and University of Idaho on his phone, all a very similar busty type, very similar to Stacy, if you're familiar with Incel theory and ideology. The Ted Bundy searches and the selfie of him in the black hoodie that looked a lot like it. And something else that we learned was something that happened to Ethan Chapin. This is so hard for me to say, guys, because this is what I have been talking about a whole lot with the student sources that we have, and these friends of his I've been talking to for how long ago did this happen now? Since 2 weeks after the murders, 2.5 years. And this is really hard. So we learned that Ethan Chapin's leg was carved. So I want to ask you guys, and you know what, crafted evidence, maybe I will open up panel to talk about some of these things, because I want to ask you guys what you think the significance of that is. Now, we did also learn that Ethan Chapin was, in fact, unalived on his bed. Now, I just want to give some legitimacy to, well, myself a little bit, but especially the student sources I have. And I'm just going to play 2 really, really short clips of previous live streams about this case where I shared with you some things that I knew because of these student sources. And whoops. Oh, I'm going to turn the volume up on this. It's a little low. Sorry. And I'm telling you, my prediction is Ann Taylor, and especially Brian Koberger, want to get rid of it because I'm telling you, I saw some of this video, security camera video. We're talking about they wanted to get rid of the security camera footage from 1112 King Road. Footage, not the part that's going to be admitted as evidence in trial. I need to be clear on that because it would have been wrong for anyone to share that. That did not happen. But just a general view of this footage, it, as far as security cameras go, is crystal clear. I mean, I think it's very possible it could have got a video image that had personal identifying information or certainly identifying the car for sure. That's why Anne wants it gone. I'm telling you, it's got to be. Okay, so now if you guys have seen the footage, and we'll look at some of it that was leaked on Dateline, do you guys agree it is really clear for security camera footage? I think my characterization of that was spot on because I have seen segments of that security camera footage, as I stated right there. And what I didn't see in the segments of it that I saw, because I did not see the segments that would be material for the trial, because that would have not been right. And that did not happen. I do want to make that clear. There wasn't a car's headlight in the frame, kind of obscuring the clear view of the car. Because you can think about that when you're taking a video of something and there's a bright light coming at you, you know, you can't see the object right around it so clearly because you're like overwhelmed by the light, right? So I didn't take that into account because most of the shots or the footage of the suspect car, the white Elantra, from that camera, we have that obstruction of clear view because of the headlights, which are really bright, of course. But I think it is really clear footage. I wonder if you guys agree. I think that, you know, I was right about that. You know, we did see it. And well, I'm not going to tell you this yet. I'm going to wait till another clip to play first. Okay. And next, Angel D, here's a shout out to you, baby. I have always maintained, as Angel D will tell you, that, and I learned this from the student sources that I have, who were friends of Ethan Chapin. Ethan Chapin was found on the bed. He just was. I mean, I dare say that's fact. In my mind, it definitely is. I think it makes sense too, because that horrific blood, the bleeding of the house on the outside of the house, is directly below Xana Kernodle's bed. He was not found on the floor. He was found on the bed. So I don't think that there was really anything blocking the doors. Oh, and then the other part of it is going to be explained here. Just a sec. Oh, I think that's it though. So, I mean, you know, there you have it for that. I have maintained all along, because I knew all along from the student sources that I talked to and a member of the family, that Ethan was absolutely positively found on the bed. He was murdered on the bed. And there was a time in the history of people talking about this case and mass conspiracy theories and pro-burgers and on and on and on and on, that it was a big issue related to how the crime could have been committed, because a certain segment of people and channels were saying that Ethan's body was behind the door, was obstructing the possibility of opening the door and entering the room. And that is why Hunter Johnson needed to be called again and again and again and again and again and again. I said, no, that is not the case. His life was so tragically taken on that bed that he was staying in that night with Xana, his girlfriend, and he was not found on the floor. Well, now we know it's true. Thank you, Mama. Okay, there we go. Okay, so as far as and you know, the two friends of Ethan that I've been talking to is just making him freaking crazy. He's like, why are people even saying that? I don't understand why they're saying that. Why do people, like, what a morbid, grotesque, horrible thing to make up as part of your fictional narrative about this real life crime that has affected us so deeply, to make up a detail about where a victim's body resided when they met their death and remained for hours until they were found. So this is part of the anger and the outrage and the just upsettedness and deep, deep sadness that people who are close to the victims feel, that cause these people to want to be able to speak out somehow, not knowing how they could or should, with this gag order and the university and their fraternity and that community, asking people in it to respect the process of justice, respect the victims, let that process play out. They are encouraged to not get involved in the conjecture and banter and conspiracy theory and narratives that stray from the truth. And so that's how they ended up here with me. All right, now regarding who leaked the information from Dateline. I want to play, and the significance of that leaked footage from 1112 King Road. I want to play you a clip from channel that is a friend of What's the Obsession, The Drunk Turkey Show, just from last night. Daniel had Jennifer Kofendaffer on, former FBI agent, and here's just a very short clip about what Daniel and Jennifer, love them both, had to talk about. Let's see, where is that clip? It's got to be it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's make that bigger.
It came out. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of other information. You know, they really dove into Papa Roger in that one. They dove into a lot of details about another crime that took place close by, involving a girl and panties in the car, and just a lot of information. And, I figured.
I think they talked about the Brian tally too, and how some of the girls were having problems with Brian Koberger in the first one.
Yes, and the firing. I mean, there was a lot of detail, and the entirety of that episode, like this episode, said that their information was source driven. It was from inside sources. Mm-hmm. And so when that sort of happened and nothing happened, I felt like the courts, I have found, are differing depending on which court it is, right? What state it is. Some courts believe this in the true sanctity of journalism, and that you develop a source that they're entitled to not being exposed. Massachusetts, we've seen this. They are very much. They didn't make Gretchen Voss, who interviewed Karen Reed. They didn't make Gretchen Voss. They didn't allow her notes. She's not testifying. So they believe in sort of that sanctity, right? The problem with this case, and the reason this judge is coming down hard, is there is a gag order. The end of the day, that gag order is more important than anything in terms of that journalistic relationship between a source. And I think Hippler is going to bring the thunder. And the reason I say that, he not only wants names, everybody who had that video, and that video is going to be the breadcrumb, meaning the new video of the surveillance in front of 1122 King. That video is going to be the key to figuring out who leaked the information. And he, as a prosecutor, Daniel, that means he wants them prosecuted. They're not going to get away with this with a slap. Look for obstruction or some sort of charge.
Well, the one thing that I think, when I look at what it was that Dateline said, I think that the pieces of information that probably are the most that can tie back to law enforcement for sure is going to be the selfies that he took, the information, the pictures that Brian Koberger took, his search history. Those things obviously had to have come from an inside source. Now, the suspect vehicle one, Linda Lane footage came out a while ago, and the owner of that footage didn't get anything. He's not part of the non-dissemination order. I would assume, this is just my assumption, I do not know. So I'm just going to put this out there. I don't know, but I would assume that Dateline was out there right away. I wouldn't be surprised if they got footage straight from the owners of the cameras, whether it be the owners of the 1112 or Linda Lane or whoever. And those folks aren't part of the non-dissemination order. And they were out there early on, perhaps getting information, because I think timing is important. Perhaps getting information before the non-dissemination order. I think they may have known a lot of the information they had when the first Dateline came out, but maybe perhaps just kind of held on to it for a little bit for whatever reason.
Okay. All right. So Danielle right there was just speculating. Jennifer Koffendaffer was talking about, and Dr. Vanna and Nina, I have to know what the hell you're talking about. That is wild. Wow. So Jennifer Koffendaffer and Daniel were talking about the importance of that 1112 King Road video footage as far as tracing back who leaked this information, because the judge has assigned a special prosecutor to investigate who leaked this information. So what does that mean? Well, it's not, it's not a detective. It's not somebody from the police force or the FBI. It's not an agent. It's a special prosecutor. What does that mean? The judge clearly has the intention, at least the potential intention, of prosecuting the person or persons that they find through an investigation who leaked the footage and the other information to Dateline. So this is a very serious thing, okay? But without even knowing that, I do need to tell you that I did talk to the person through the two student sources I'm closest to, or Ethan Chapin's fraternity brothers, who was an owner, I'd say the owner of the 1112 footage. And this person did know that on this channel, I did speak about the fact, and this is with their blessings, that I had seen portions of that footage, but not the white Elantra, not the part that would be material to the trial. We discussed it. I said, I just really want to tell people how clear this video, security camera footage is. And they gave me their blessings. They knew that I put it out there. So now that this Dateline has come out, they were shocked by it. They want me to let everybody know that they themselves did not leak it. So that is just what Daniel was hypothesizing or theorizing about, that maybe Dateline got that security camera footage straight from the owners. And that is totally reasonable to speculate about. Absolutely reasonable. Like, we do know, as he said, that Linda Lane footage from way back when was disseminated directly through the owners. It was sort of this big sort of scam situation with a YouTube channel, but we're not even going to go into all that drama because there's more serious things to talk about, like the murders of 4 beautiful young people. But anyway, that footage was leaked and obtained by the media directly from the source, from the owners of that footage. But in this case, guys, I can promise you it was not leaked to Dateline from the owners of that footage. They're very upset about it. They would never do that, they say, and I believe them. I've gotten to know these people, we're not best friends, obviously, but over the course of what has been 2.5 years, probably those folks I've been talking to on and off, much less than the other 2 guys, for 1.5 years. I fully believe them. They did not leak that video footage. It was not from the owners of the footage from 1112 King Road. So please put that on the record in the history books and accept it as fact, because it is true. So to me, that says, that's kind of important. So Judge Hippler, prosecutor, special prosecutor, are you listening? If it definitively was not the owners of that footage, the residents of the house at that time, that must mean, and it wasn't me. Well, it couldn't have been me because I didn't see the material part, as I said. And they said they can't really remember having anybody else watch it. Then it had to be somebody from law enforcement, as you'd assume anyway. But there's that additional fact that we can put into the equation to help us figure out that little problem, right? The other thing that I did discuss with these students is that that information that was, oh wait, I want to bring this into the stream first. So this is what was said on Dateline. This is from the channel. I watch this channel sometime. It's called Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi. I recently found it. He used to be a radio dude, and I like him. So I just happened to know, I watched his show the other day. I happened to know he had the clip that I wanted. So I'm just going to play it from his show because as you can see, I pulled a lot of clips and I started to just, be like, oh, Jesus Christ. All right, hold it. And I was also running out of little windows to put my videos in. Thank you for teaching me how to do that. Crafting evidence. Welcome to all of you coming in. Please do hit the like, share the stream, and thank you so much for being here. Most of all, there's Tony Bruschi. He doesn't know, but we're friends. We are.
The other side. When you're dealing with crimes that are motivated by anger toward women, the men.
This doctor is Dr. What's his name? I can't think of it right now. He's on the channel Interview Room with Chris McDonough, which I like very much, a lot. Just a little FYI for you.
That's from Dateline, NBC.
Yeah. So okay. So that's what was said. Now, again, this is just real. It's just really hard to talk about. I spent an emotional conversation with a friend of Ethan who told me that they did not know about that detail. Now, I've heard some people reporting that the Chapin family did know about that detail. Now, while, these guys didn't call up the Chapins and say, hey, man, did you hear what they said on Dateline about what happened to Ethan? Did you guys know about that? Obviously. They have talked to members of the Chapin family at length. Remember, they are all friends with Hunter, Ethan's triplet brother as well, and also Ethan's sister, Macy. And they said that they do not believe that the Chapin family knew that. Now, again, they do not know for sure. They did not know for sure. They had a really, they had a reaction to it. As you can imagine, it was very upsetting to hear that. And, we talked about it, and I've been given permission to talk about this here. Because they have a lot of feelings that are being brought back up. They have a lot of anger that's being brought back up. They just had a lot of sadness, a lot of, they said they both cried a lot after they had heard about it. They both had told me in the past that until this happened, they were both the kind of guys that didn't really cry a whole lot ever in their lives. But it just really deeply affected them, because just to think about, the anger and the hostility after somebody took the life of their friend, or for the Chapin family, their family member, and the anger and the hostility and the kind of how fucking dare you carve into his body, like mutilate after you took his life. They just described this as being a whole nother layer of kind of grieving and understanding that they have to go through, the sadness, the shock, the anger of all of it. It feels to them it feels to them, what I gather, very much like, getting this new set of horrible news about a terrible, horrible, horrific tragedy that they've just started the process of healing from. It's really reopened that wound. So they are, and just talking with them, and also the other student 1112 about Dateline, they do have some anger towards Dateline for putting it out there, and we discussed when it was, after hearing them out and hearing their feelings and thoughts and impressions about it. And this was not the same day. This was like a couple days later when we were discussing it in a less emotional way. I brought up the idea of something we had talked about before, which is, well, so I certainly, the emotion of it is understandable. And my God, it would be crazy if you weren't super upset about that. But, we've discussed the importance of, the freedom of the press, of the ability for news outlets and YouTubers and individuals to be able to talk about how they feel, what they know, what they believe. Those who actually have rational, reasonable, logical thoughts, because maybe it's because they're close to the case, or maybe it's because they're connected to the victims, but they feel they still have strong feelings about that really broad, really strict gag order that they feel like has been suffocating them. And they feel like in a very big way has prevented them from memorializing and celebrating their good friend in a way that he deserves, in a way that they feel like they need to fully grieve, like both things, because of the confusion over this gag order. So there's a lot of anger about that. And so, it's just a lot of very confusing, conflicting feelings, as you could very well imagine. Okay. So one of the things that came up for us when we were talking about this, and, I don't even know exactly how the conversation evolved. We're all just contributing a little, so I don't think it really matters too much. Let's see. Let me just bring this, switch up what I'm showing you here. We're shifting gears a bit, but it's going to definitely all tie together. Does the new evidence, leaked information by Dateline and other information we've learned equal incel. Now, this is something that we had talked about, theorized about, speculated about on this channel a long, long time ago. I was going back and watching some of those shows. I know other people certainly speculate and theorize about this as well. There was one particular person who used to be here a lot in live chat and used to come up on panel a lot, who, you know, was really rageful about this incel theory. So I had to squash it a few times when we were trying to discuss it like rationally and reasonably. It turns out that this person, who I'm not going to name, had a channel of his own. And I found these videos where he lashed out at myself and some other channels, calling us Stacy's or Becky's or whatever he thought we would be categorized as. Now, if you don't know, you know, like in incel language land, there's Chad's, Stacy's, and Becky's. We're going to just take a look at what that is in just a second. And was being really, you know, just absolutely angry at us for bringing up the idea about Bryan Kohberger possibly being an incel. He also at some point told us that he was in a long-term relationship with someone and told us how good it was, blah, blah, blah. And then later, you know, just said that, you know, that whole relationship was a lie and told us that he himself has not been, you know, active or in a intimate relationship with somebody. I can't remember if he said it like a super long time or ever. I'm not sure where I was going with that. Sorry. But yeah, there's a lot we could reflect on this channel in that conversation. Give me 1 second. I have to pull something up here. Oh, hey, where's that? Huh. Dang. Give me just 1 second. Whoops. Just got to go to my history here. Just 1 second. When did I? Okay. Looking up my history. Looking up my history. Singing to you with my bad voice. Looking up my history. All right, here we go. I think this will be it. Damn. Oh, I can't find it now. Okay. Well, anyway, so I'll go back to that in a second. So now if you are considering people who are incels, which means involuntary celibate, I should have said that at the beginning there. You know, it's somebody, you know, it refers specifically to a man who is not or has not been sexually intimate with a woman and feels a certain way about that. And that way would be anger, contempt, disdain, disgust, all of those beautiful emotions. Now, why is this relevant in part? It is because if you remember, there was much speculation over time, and still is, about the possibility of Bryan Kohberger being the person behind the social media account Papa Rogers. So here on your left-hand side, we have Elliot Rogers, who Papa Rogers would then ostensibly be namesaked after. And he is the most infamous incel out there who has committed atrocious crimes. And wait till I show you how many of them there are. And then in the middle, we have Bryan Kohberger. And then on the right-hand side, we have the profile picture of Papa Rogers that he used in his Facebook social media account. Now, the curious thing, as you may or may not know about Papa Rogers, is he had a lot to say about this crime before this crime was solved in any regard. That was crazy, close to the actual details that we learned about this crime. My gosh, my mind is just going a blank. Did he say specifically there was a K-bar knife or something else? I think before we know that the knife sheath was left at the crime scene, he said something about that. And I cannot believe, I can't specifically remember what it was because I've read that damn profile so many times. It's kind of crazy. Now, I personally have come to believe that Brian Koberger was behind the Papa Rogers account. First, I was very hesitant to believe that. I was really hesitant to buy into any kind of incel theory. But with the recent evidence that has come out, I am today, now more than ever, a believer of that theory. Let me tell you why. So, just going back to, what was revealed on that Dateline. Item number 1 here, pornography searches for forced, drugged, and asleep. What is a typical characteristic of incels is that they are hostile, angry, and violent and aggressive towards women. They see women as the enemy. They wish them harm or inflict harm on them. And they are also hostile and angry towards other men that they see as being the kind of men that idealize archetypal masculinity, the men that have what they will never be, and they also have what they want, which is, in this incel language, what is called a Stacy. That's what I was just looking for. I had this great article pulled up about this. Let's see. They're an incel, terminology. They're chads, which is that, typical, really masculine, popular. Oh, here we go. Oh. Popular, athletic, good looking kind of guy, much like guys Ethan Chapin. And then there are the Stacys, who are very popular. They are often characterized as being blonde, busty, beautiful, carrying a, $2,000 Gucci bag. And then there are the Beckys, who are kind of the more, slender. They say no tits, no ass, baggy clothes, hair in a bun, wearing glasses, kind of woman. So, I think in the mind of somebody who truly was an incel, Ethan would perfectly represent a Chad. And I mean, no disrespect towards Ethan. I think this incel perspective of looking at things is totally fucked up. Like, I don't obviously subscribe to it at all. I mean, nothing but love and respect for Ethan or any of the other victims. I think that somebody who is an incel would see the victims, the female victims, as Stacys. They're all absolutely beautiful, beautiful figures, beautiful girls, young. They have everything going for them. They have like their ticket. They can write their own ticket in life. So can a Chad. A Chad and a Stacey are the kind of young people who can write their own ticket in life. They've got it all going on. They are everything an incel will never be. So one of the let me show you here. The list of individuals who are, and again, I'm not pushing this theory. I'm just telling you what I talked about with the students. We had a couple conversations, long conversations about this, and we came to the conclusion that, I'm not totally sold on it, but it is making a whole lot of sense now that Brian Koberger's partial motivation for this and what may define him is incel ideology, incel being. This is the list of incels who have committed murder or attempted murder, who have, obviously been charged and incarcerated. So we have here, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20, 21, 22. There were 3 that I couldn't fit on the page. So there are 3 infamous incels who committed usually mass murder or mass murder attempts in most of these cases, or serious assault, often which was verging on attempted murder. And in most cases, they were the murder or attempted murder of more than one person. And it was done so out of, adhesion to this incel ideology. Let me bring into you just this little video. The most famous incel, and the one who would be the namesake inspiration for Papa Rogers, if Brian Koberger is in fact Papa Rogers, and that would be Elliot Rogers. Give me just a moment here. his horrific crime was committed 10 years ago.
Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity, against all of you.
This chilling video shows Elliot Rodger, the 22-year-old Santa Barbara college student who police say killed 6 and injured 13 in Friday's mass shooting and stabbing spree. This day of retribution, a plan Rodger outlined in a 137-page manifesto obtained by CNN affiliate KEYT. Rodger wrote, "All of those beautiful girls I've desired so much in my life, but can never have because they despise and loathe me, I will destroy." A family friend, Simon Astaire, says Rodger sent his diatribe called My Twisted World to a couple dozen people, including his mother and father, not long before terrorizing the UC Santa Barbara campus. He wrote, "I will kill them all and make them suffer, just as they have made me suffer. It is only fair." Rodger's mother, Lichen, discovered the terrifying threat in her email at 9:17 that evening. She then discovered her son's last YouTube video titled Retribution.
And I will slaughter every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde I see inside there.
Lichen then called Rodger's father at 911. The parents frantically racing to Santa Barbara from LA. Both parents en route when they heard the news.
Shots fired.
That they were too late.
This was witness. It was a dark-colored BMW. One occupant, a male wearing a white shirt.
On Sunday, the ATF and county sheriff's office searched the mother's home. Astaire says Rodger's parents now feel a, quote, pivotal moment was missed last month. 6 police officers conducted a well-being check on Rodger in April after his mother discovered other videos he posted online, documenting his, quote, loneliness and misery. But the officers say they found nothing alarming during their check. In his manifesto, Rodger expresses his devastating fear that police discovered his plan. "I would have been thrown in jail, denied of the chance to exact revenge on my enemies. I can't imagine a hell darker than that," he wrote. Astaire says Rodger had been visiting therapists on and off since he was 8, and in high school practically daily. Right before his killing spree, Rodger was seeing 2 therapists, Astaire describing him as reserved to a daunting degree. But Astaire also says the 22-year-old didn't appear to have violent tendencies and never expressed any fascination in guns.
Okay, so that's that there. Now, whoops, I'm just going to bring crafted evidence up. I'll introduce you in a minute, sweetie. So, warning label Nina says, page 118 of Rodger's manifesto, the original plan was on November 2013. So that is true. There are other things in Elliot Rodger's manifesto that relate to the crime that Bryan Kohberger committed. And I'm kind of like laughing to myself, crafted evidence, because Jessica from the reporter room, who ripped off my ultimatum video this weekend, I saw actually on her channel, her talking about it's a lot of great insight into this connection between Elliot Rodgers and Bryan Kohberger. And now, I thought at the time that it was probably ripped off from somebody, and now I'm sure of it.
You're like, now I've got it confirmed.
You know what I'm saying, Pepper, my girl? Nina, do you want to come up and talk about that? Do you know the other connections? Because I don't know them right off the top of my head. Hey, Tammy Lynn, it's always great to see you. Hi, from Taiwan, as always. Kelly, I hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. Thank you so much, Tammy Lynn. It's always great to see you, our friend from across the globe. So this is Crafted Evidence, who is up here. She does have a channel. She crafts and she talks about true crime and other things. She says you never know what you're going to get, so definitely check out her channel. And how are you doing, Jennifer?
Doing well, Kelly. I got to tell you, thank you so much for laying all of this out for us. A lot of us in the chat were saying, God, we feel so behind in the case, but you've really caught us up.
Oh, good. Awesome. That's great. I mean, yeah, this is a really, God, there's so much deep complexity, and there's just like so much complexity in this case. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It starts to make me wonder, at some point in our country, are we going to have to do things differently? Because how can you really have a fair trial when everyone has access to the internet to see, the NBC special or go on Reddit, and it's everywhere.
Well, I mean, that is true, but I think the thing that I would have to say to that is that not everybody is like us. Not everybody is wanting to follow true crime. Not everybody even wants to hear about this stuff. Some people don't watch the news. Like, I used to be a news junkie. I intentionally, in our political climate, shall not watch the news. My mom will call me. She's still a news junkie, and she'll tell me all this stuff. I'm like, Mom, didn't I tell you that I don't watch the news anymore because it makes me anxious and upset and depressed? So let's not talk about it, So I think that, it seems that every trial that they do have, they're able to manage to find a jury, at least theoretically, that is impartial, that has not been exposed to all the conjecture and the conspiracy theory and the talk about it. I think for us, because we are so into all of this, we think it's everywhere, and it certainly is pervasive. But I certainly think there's a large section of society that doesn't give a shit about true crime and does not hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're almost going to have to go further out, into like different states at some point to where someone really hasn't heard about this case. Like, I think back about like Gabby Petito, everyone was following that case.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go to trial, obviously, but just some of these cases hit it, and that it is what it is. That's just kind of the nature of the game.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I want to read through some of the comments here. So Angel says, and they're from like all throughout the stream. I've been starring them all along. So if they go a little far back, we'll just relate them. Angel says, it definitely looks like some of Dateline's pics and screenshots are from a FaceTime call, could be provided by the recipient of the call pics. Can't prove they got them directly from BK's phone data, in my humble opinion. Okay, so yeah, and Dateline does say that they mentioned the pictures were resized for quality, and other than that, they were unchanged, but we definitely do not know that. Now, Molly says, motive. He was disciplined by Washington State University. He crossed state lines in retaliation and hate against what he could never have. Oh, so and Molly is a WSU graduate, by the way, and thank you for being here, Molly. So that's really interesting. So, and that's true for those of you who don't know, he was his first semester in his doctoral program at WSU from Pennsylvania. He came across the country. He started off really rocky. People did not have a good impression of him. Students, have talked about him, saying that he was very off-putting, that he graded very unfairly, that he was very snarky at first. They say that after the murders, all of a sudden his demeanor and his mood changed and he was in a good mood. He started giving anyone hundreds, but he was in, initially he was in like academic trouble. He got into a fight with a professor. He just behaved very poorly. He was called in by, his superior, because he was also a teaching assistant, to talk about professionalism. And eventually he was put on an improvement plan. He did learn after the murders, but so he was disciplined before the murders. He was getting in trouble. That anxiety, that tension was increasing for him. And it wasn't until after that he learned that he was not going to be invited back in the next semester for his teaching assistant fellowship, which meant he wasn't going to be able to go back to school. Oh, and Morning Label Nina's here too. Let me bring her up too. Hey girl, how you doing? Welcome, Morning Label Nina.
Hey, sorry it took me so long. I was in the process of texting you some pictures.
Oh, awesome. Let me check it out. Awesome. Thank you, darling. You're so good.
Well, I think it was Dr.
Nina is excellent for resources.
Dr. Vanna had asked if, with Xana coming down the stairs, if that could have been Xana's shoes.
Oh,
and she said,
that's interesting. Good job, Dr. Vanna.
But the thing about it is they got a pair of black and white Nikes from his Pennsylvania home.
Okay.
And the pictures I sent you are of their soles.
That's right. They're diamond shaped, just like the Vans, just like the pattern they found outside in the latent footprint, right?
Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. Wow. Oh, Nina, I just saw that you sent me some links to your videos earlier. I'm so sorry I didn't see it. I didn't watch them yet. Is there anything in particular I should play that's related to what we're talking about?
You don't want to play those videos because They're dark humor videos with Koberger.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
But, I can't wait to watch them. Wow, some of these pictures. Okay, cool. Oh God, I'm looking at one right now. How do people do that? How they take a picture? I saw that guy Tony Bruschi that I like to watch. His opening to his show. Let me see if I can show you really quick. I know it's. I'm sure it's. I was like, how do they do that? That's so freaking crazy. Oh, maybe it wasn't the opening to this show. I guess it wasn't the opening to this show. But no, I guess he didn't do it on this show. He like animates like the selfie picture of Brian Koberger. It's really freaking crazy. It's really kind of cool looking, but I was just like, dude, how do they do that?
One of them that I did is of the black hoodie and the song "Don't Fear the Reaper."
Oh my gosh, did you make those? Did you make them?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's with an AI app, but you get to.
Well, yeah, I'm just asking because that's what I figured.
Oh, yeah, all of them I made.
Okay, see, I'm not knowledgeable about that kind of stuff. But
And here's what's really bad is they're getting like 10 times the views that my hard work videos get.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so crazy, right? I know. Oh my gosh.
I've been really amazed though, because I mean, out of like 30 of them, I think I've had 5 bad comments.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good. That is really good. So tell us what you know about Elliot Rogers' manifesto mentoring November 2013 and tell us what you know about all that.
Oh, okay. In Elliot Rogers' manifesto on page 118, and I'm talking while I'm pulling it up because I actually have the picture of it.
Okay.
He's talking about getting ready to do it, and he's getting everything planned and everything. And he's talking about being upset because the original plan was November of 2013.
Right.
And he felt like he had to get more ammunition, more something, And so he put it off until 2014. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow, November 2013, November, 13. I mean, but then,
crazy.
And then I sit there and thought about it too, that November the 13th is the last weekend that he could do it before the Thanksgiving break and getting his tag renewed. Because if you consider him having that single tag opens up the suspect pool to so many other states.
Right.
Yeah, and it was the last weekend to do it.
Wait, did he have to get his tag renewed the following week?
Yeah, it expired like within like 10 days.
Oh my God. I never picked up on that. Damn. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think that was definitely intentional on his part. Absolutely.
Wow, that's some plotting, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's deep
wow.
plotting.
Yeah.
I do a lot of research, unfortunately.
Oh my God. Nina is like a professional researcher. No, Nina is amazing. She's like, if I need something on the fly, I'm like, oh my God, I'm running out of time. Go to Nina. It's like, it's all there and it's all in order. It's all great. I'm so grateful for that. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Wow. That's crazy. Tell us what else you know.
Oh my gosh. You'll have to pick, give me a starting point. Okay, here. Oh, I did come up with maybe a possible. I don't know if it's anything, but it can't be anything. And believe me, I am not about to say that I can sit in Alabama and solve a case because I can't. But okay, so he had a Strava account, right? And he's got one run on there. And on the Strava account, it doesn't tell the roads or anything. So I went in and matched the route up to the roads and everything because I wanted to see where it started and where it ended.
Sure.
And while I was doing that, I was talking to myself, of course, but the girl that he texted with, and they talked about hiking, right?
Holly, yeah.
And so then they talk about they were coming down the mountain, and it was nighttime, and he was going up the mountain, right?
Yeah, weird, right? Yeah.
The guy says that he recognized all of them. Now, I do not know because it's never been said if that girl was a part of that group.
Right.
But if she was part of that group, and I was like, could she have been the original target? You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
wow. No, that's interesting because they were all the same party together. And
Right.
she said she was interested in hiking. That's what they text about. He texts about in that really weird text. I really enjoyed that activity. So let me know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, so the guy was talking about the group, and, that's what she was talking about was the hiking group,
Yeah, the third hiking group. Oh, that's really
But then
interesting.
he started getting into so much trouble. I wondered if he was like, oh no, they know I'm a little psycho over here. I might want to go across the state.
They're onto my psychotic nature.
There's
Wow,
a lot of
that's
Whitney
wild.
on the DL.
That is wild. That is really wild. Now, oh, hey, thank you for posting the Sigma Chi Foundation and Ethan
Yes.
Scholarship Crafted Evidence. That's awesome.
I
Thank
figured
you.
you'd be cool with it, so I did
Oh,
drop it in there. You guys,
absolutely.
that's Ethan's
Absolutely.
foundation. So
Yeah, they are friends of this channel. Yes, we have definitely, definitely, consider donating to Ethan's foundation. It's doing wonderful things. It's in, the spirit of Ethan Chapin, and it's doing amazing things. They have like really great plans for it. Maybe sometime I'll do a video talking about that. Thank you for doing that. Just gave me the idea.
I've reached out to his family actually, and if I do get them, Kelly, maybe we can just do a stream together and talk about everything they're doing. My heart breaks, you guys, so much for these
Oh my
parents.
God. Yeah. Absolutely.
You let them go away to college and you never expect anything like this to happen. And
I know. It's horrible. It's unthinkable. It truly is. It's truly unthinkable. I mean, this crime, it really is of the magnitude that I think has changed the way a lot of people think. I mean, I will speak personally, even for myself, especially shortly after it happened, but even now to this day, when like I am falling asleep and I realize I didn't lock the door, I think of this and I get my ass up and I lock the door. Like I didn't used to necessarily do that. I mean, it's changed my habits in that way.
I mean, well, think back like in the 80s, like I hate this, but I don't let my kids play outside alone anymore. I sit in the rocking chair, or I just have to look out the window. Like it's just times have changed and you just have to watch out. And I hate that. But it's like you said, it's something you maybe normally wouldn't have done a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah. It's really crazy. It is crazy. Oh my gosh. Go ahead.
Okay, Kelly, it's not when he's changing it to 2014. Okay, it says this is the very last paragraph. It came to a point where I had to set a date for the day of retribution. I originally considered doing it on the Halloween of 2013. That is when the entire town erupts and partying. There would literally be thousands of people crowded together who I could kill with ease, and the goal was to kill everyone in Isla Vista, to utterly destroy that wretched town.
Wow.
But then, after seeing footage of previous Halloween events on YouTube, I saw that there were too many cops walking around. It would be the day of retribution will have to be on a normal party weekend of November of 2013.
Wow.
That was the original day of retribution date.
I kind of feel like, though, he's more of a, and I don't know this for sure, but like a target guy. Like, you know how you were describing, Kelly, like the pretty girls and, probably the girls that wouldn't give him the time of day.
Right.
I feel like he's more of like plotted and planned versus kind of like if he did it this Halloween event, he wouldn't really get to target the people and study them. And he just kind of reminds me of that kind of guy who would plot and plan a little further.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. You mean Brian Koberger reminds you of that? Yeah. I definitely think that he had some element of planning certainly behind this. I think that, part of his whole thing, his cockiness, and what ultimately, he did something horrific and he got caught, was that he thought this is someone, and people who know him or worked with him or he was their, TA or whatever, say that he has to be the smartest person in the room. Like now we know from the Dateline that there were 23 occurrences of his cell phone tracking within 100 yards of 11 1122 King Road. Now I'm getting 1112 and 1122 King Road. Within 100 yards of 1122 King Road, all after dark. Now, what do you guys think about this? My opinion is, I think that this could be possible. I'm wondering, did he specifically plan that date? Or, I think it's possible that maybe the first however many numbers of those drive-bys where he pinged within 100 yards of the victims' homes, he was planning, he was, scoping things out. He was, what's the word? He was like, I don't know. It's like a recon mission, right? And then I think it's possible that, the last few ones before the actual tragedy happened, that maybe he was like ready to go. Maybe he had his K-bar and his kill kit in his car and he was ready to go. And then, something happened that, kind of made him chicken out. I think the behavior of his car around 11:22 or 11:20, the house that evening tells us that there was either some, certainly indecision, from some intrinsic indecision from within himself, or there was something circumstantial that he was observing that made him hesitate, So I'm wondering if that was like the D-Day for him, or if he, in some of those other times when he was by the house, thought maybe he'd do it then. And then he's like, no, this is not the time. What do you guys think about that? What do you think?
Now, Kelly, have you looked at the radius to see where it ends?
No.
Okay, it does not reach Sigma Chi.
Okay.
It does not reach Wallenta Road, and it ends at the end of Queen Road Apartments.
So
that's how small that area is.
So it truly was exclusively that house.
Yes.
Because the other, it doesn't wouldn't make a lot of the other places like right by there. I was thinking about this when I was driving the other day. It makes so much sense that he picked that house as a target. I think that there was targeting of the victims, and I do think it was Maddie in the house, but I think the house was ideal because if you think about it, around there, there's their cul-de-sac. It's kind of a more excluded area, but right around there, there's a lot of just like multi-unit dwellings, like the like where Emily lived next door. I can't think what's called, the right or whatever, like, apartment complexes.
Right.
You're not going to go into an apartment complex and try to pull this off. But that's crazy about the radius, Nina. Where'd you find that? In the court documents?
Yeah.
Cool.
They've got a.
Are there?
Because it's 100 meters, and that equals 328 feet.
Oh, 100 meters. Okay, 100 meters. So 328 feet. Okay, so you just essentially draw a radius from the house. I gotcha. Oh my gosh. Wow. Huh. That's really interesting. So it really.
Yeah.
So
it reaches maybe the middle of Banfield.
Go ahead. What's that?
It maybe reaches the middle of Banfield.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. And I mean, there's nothing in Banfield, right? So, we really do know it was that. Wow. That's really crazy. That's crazy.
But I did find a clip from March the 2nd. I think it's the 2nd of 2022. Remember the car that got broke into and they put her luggage out in the middle of the road? And okay, I found a clip off of that and I made a video out of it where they ask her if she has a Ring camera and she says no, but I've already ordered it.
Right. No, but I've already ordered it. So she
was
already. She was
ordered. Yes.
So what do you gather from that? What's that, honey?
That address is 1126, and when they were going to demolish the house, Steve G put the letter out, and Steve G's on what's that? Ashley, yeah. Anyway, and he's talking about he has seen things that nobody else has seen, and the other vantage points from the other camera.
Right. Oh, okay. Wow. That's interesting. Okay. So they definitely had a Ring camera, and that would be a whole different angle than like 1112 King, we're saying.
Right. And Steve, and I know that a lot of people don't take what he says, but if you do, and I also found it somewhere else that part of Jack D's alibi is him and Adam are seen on camera going in the apartment. Well, 1112 wouldn't pick that up, but 1126 would.
Right. Oh, wow. Oh, that's interesting. My gosh. Geez, just like think about the amount of information that we're learning through these court documents or these leaks, the leaks and the dumps. I mean, my God, the trial is going to be absolutely freaking overwhelming. And if it does go off this summer like it's supposed to, I am going to be covering it. I'm going to be covering every moment of it because I am off this summer, and I hope it does because I want to. I mean, it is just, my God, justice for Ethan, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. My gosh, but this is going to be the most interesting trial.
Do you think they'll get the continuance?
I'm afraid they will.
Yeah. And I didn't know until today that they had actually sent the notice of the hearing to Shannon Gray.
Yeah. Yep. They did. Yep.
That threw me for a loop.
Yep. That's right. Yep. Because they're talking about the hearing was about the victims' role in the. Can't remember exactly what it was called, the victim's role in this process. And I am afraid that he called that because of the motion for continuance, and that there is going to be a continuance that is granted. And he wanted to privy the family to that information first because it's going to be fucking heartbreaker.
Yeah, that's going to be a blow.
Yeah. Huh. That's crazy. Wow. All right. Let me read a few more of these comments I had started earlier here. Angel D says, Dateline didn't have to reveal their sources, do they? Well, no, they don't. I mean, and places like Dateline are really good about doing that. Journalistically, the integrity is to absolutely not reveal your source. Journalists have gone to jail for not revealing their sources, and many of them will. It's just, if you want to stay in the business, in the industry, you can probably tell us about this crafted evidence.
Yeah.
You have to protect your sources, right?
Yeah. You do not have to relay your sources. You always ask, because it's best to, let's say Kelly's a part of some crime, it's best for me to have Kelly's name out there, because it makes me look more credible, right? That I'm not making this up. However, with a case like this, they're not going to release their names, maybe even out of fear, honestly, at this point. But there's no need to release, almost like that client privilege thing. It's when you make this commitment to do a story with someone, you give them your word. I kind of got heat yesterday because people were asking me questions how I knew some information about this Gypsy Rose case, and they're like, well, how do you know that? And I'm like, I'm not telling you because I'm not gonna burn my bridge, and not burn my source. You believe me or you don't.
Right. And with a place like Dateline, because they're they're a company that's housed under an incorporation, I don't even know where the personal liability or responsibility would lie for that. But it is a good question. I mean, the Judge Hippler assigning the special prosecutor to determine where the leak was. I have a hard time believing they're going to get it from Dateline, but I fully believe that the special prosecutor will be able to determine where this leak came from. And as I said earlier, and they need it to be known that the owners of the security camera footage, 1112 King Road, the residents at the time of this tragedy of King Road were not the people who released this footage. They were not. I had a conversation with the person who'd probably be the primary owner. It was not them. All right, I'm going to go Dr. Vanna's comment. Hi, I'm back. Hi, Dr. Vanna. How are you? I'm going to email you tomorrow. We got to talk. Hi, I'm back. I truly believe if he could make an interpersonal. Oh, wait, Nina said something first. Wait, hold it. I'm out of order here. Warning label, Nina, here's your comment. In my opinion, Koberger does not have the mentality to trust another person to that level to be a duo. Great, because now the defense is pushing the alternative suspect theory, and they're saying that it was more than one person. I think maybe we've discussed this before, Nina. We're just having the same thought that his personality, I'm sure Dr. Vanna would agree, his personality composition is not one that could work well closely with another human being on anything, including making Play-Doh sculptures, nonetheless something this complex with such serious consequences. No way in hell. It just didn't happen. So then the minds behind true crime with Dr. Vanna says, hi, I'm back. I truly believe if he could make an interpersonal relationship, it would not have, he would not have had to do the crime, allegedly. Yeah, I think that, yeah, I mean, he truly seemed to be, and thank you for becoming a member again, Dr. Vanna. And hey, Beach Bum's 1-year anniversary. Woohoo. I mean, he really and truly, seems like one of the few people who, I think everyone has that potential for connecting with others. Everyone, I guess I'd have to put in air quotes. I think there are very few people, those who fit into the category of certain pathologies, who simply cannot. And he very well, in my opinion, might be one of those people. What do you guys think?
Oh, I 100% agree with you, Kelly. Do you notice we have not had any friends from middle school, high school come out and say, oh, I knew, him, and like, okay, let's compare it to Chris Watts. You have a bunch of people coming out saying, he was the greatest guy, he was this, he was that. We have no one speaking about Brian, and that shows me he has no relationship building skills. And yes, he's admitted he has autism, he's on the spectrum, but like you and I privately,
well, no, he hasn't admitted that. He hasn't admitted that. This is new. The autism spectrum thing is new. The defense had a doctor evaluate him. That diagnosis is new and cites back to childhood conditions and things are usually diagnosed for children, like oh god, I can't think what it is called right now. I see it all the time in my paper, but things that are really irrelevant. He has a very loose diagnosis, and that is only from a doctor that was hired by the defense.
Yes, and what bothers me the most about that, if we can touch on that, when he was younger, they did do the diagnosis, and I think something happened where they didn't get the diagnosis. Now, if you really thought he was on the spectrum as a parent, because I told you about my son, you push until you get those answers. They gave up. They didn't care. Now, all of a sudden, they want a diagnosis. That's suspicious to me. But even if he was high functioning, autism, maybe he has. You study behavior a lot, Kelly. I think you get what I'm saying about just having a hard time connecting with people and building friendships. He is
absolutely
awkward. He's awkward.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be, cruel, but he is socially awkward.
Yeah. And Dr. Vanna is also she has a doctoral degree. She's in a similar field as me. And I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what. You can tell us, Dr. Vanna. She said, oops. So it breaks down in short in live truth. Oh, he has antisocial narcissistic personality disorders with obsessive compulsive and schizoid personality traits. I 100% agree with you, Dr. Vanna. In my educated opinion too. Absolutely, Dr. Vanna, spot on with that. And I just put a link, by the way, in the chat to I did create a documentary on Brian Koberger. I released it, I don't know, like a year, a little over that ago. So if you want to check it out, it's still very relevant, and even more so. I researched the crap out of it, and there you go. Because I just thought of it when Crafted Evidence was talking about his lack of friendship, and Dr. Vanna was talking about that too. Yeah.
And we always want to drop those links in. Kelly, you also mentioned, and this made me think of something too, how he was getting into kind of trouble before this happened, and then after the murders, his attitude changed. And when you speak about that obsessive compulsive behavior, it makes me think of when someone plays out those urges or those compulsions, they feel better, they feel more relieved, and maybe that's why he was in a better mood and probably talking to people, and they were like, why is he talking to me? He's never talked to me before. He's happier. That behavior kind of was strange to me to hear about as well.
Yeah, no, I think that they're definitely onto something there. I think also, with what he did, it was something he had set his sights on. It was a goal of his. He's failed at all other things in his life, essentially. I mean, if you watch the documentary I created, it is the overarching theme of his life. I mean, I want to say sadly, but I mean, at this point, it's just so sad that anyone's life would be like that. But, he simply could not close the deal on anything. So finally, he sets his sights on a goal and he achieves the goal. And this must have been endlessly, copiously fulfilling to him because he finally did it. He finally, in some way, became the person that he wanted to be. Dr. Vonna says obsessive compulsive personality differs in that it is driven by longevity and rigidity. OCD is fueled by anxiety. He lacks anxiety. Oh, very interesting, Dr. Vonna. That is more nuanced than I could have possibly come up with. That is why you are the doctor, and we love you and appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean, you can even kind of tell by the demeanor in the courtroom too.
Yeah,
he's pretty laid back.
Oh yeah, he's like, we got this. I think he feels, and this is where I do see some parallels in the incel ideology and way of thinking, and especially again, I wouldn't even be talking about this if it weren't for the two things that came out in the Dateline episode, which is, and I'm not surprised by this, and this could be explained by other things, but the Google searches for the pornography, the words, drugged, forced, sleeping, and also, and especially, the carving, the mutilation of Ethan Chapin, which I'm so sorry to even say those words.
Yeah,
it's pure rage. I think, that Ethan just clearly represented everything that he hates, that he has contempt and disdain for, and he was right there. And, it appears from what we're hearing now that Ethan was likely sleeping, passed out at the time of his death. Xana was the one who was awake. He took Xana's life, and then still he chose to go over to Ethan and do that, and then to carve into his leg. I mean, that's a lot.
He wanted to be him, and he took his anger out, on him. And like you said, it's horrible to even say the words out loud.
Yeah, it is. It is. What are you thinking, Nina?
Oh, I'm hunting something I want to read y'all.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm listening though. Y'all go ahead.
Oh, you're still looking for it. Okay.
Let's see. Let me see if I can find some other comments here. I'm trying to think if I covered everything I wanted to cover tonight.
Have you done a poll, Kelly, to do? Oh, I mean, I feel like the majority kind of agrees he's guilty, but I was just curious if you've done a poll on where.
Yeah, I have done polls. I mean, now the polls on my channel are skewed because, it's been a while since, I have, and I always say, and this is true, I follow the evidence in all things, and I follow the evidence through vetted sources, scrutinized information, facts, and the elimination of bullshit. Based on all of that, it is clear to me that there is a great probability that this man is guilty. I think they have the right man. And at this point, based on the evidence, the overwhelming evidence in my mind, and in my mind, lack of reasonable doubt, if we want to put it in those legal terms, I do believe he is guilty. People know that. This case, like the Watts case, is highly polarized. People that support this man, and there are so many of them, and it just boggles the mind, don't really come around here no more. So, any poll that I'm going to put up is going to be highly skewed.
The only reason I thought is maybe just because of this, new Dateline thing. If anyone's thinking like, oh no, this isn't true, or that's the, sometimes, weeks go by, new things come out, people change their mind, but I just can't imagine someone changing their mind all of a sudden. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's in pretty deep.
Yeah. It seems that way to me. I mean, it's just, gosh, I mean, there was a point, I think it was after the first hearing with Hitler. I'm pretty sure that was it. And I don't remember exactly what made me think this. It didn't make me think by any means that he was innocent, but it did make me think, oh my God, I remember saying this in a another channel's chat, a Pro Burger channel's chat. I said, for the first time, I'm starting to see the possibility of reasonable doubt. And I just got like pounced upon. But, I did feel that way. But now that more evidence is coming out, it's certainly balancing that sentiment out.
Yeah.
Do you find your stuff, Nina?
Yeah, if I can find the rest of it. Look, I need somebody to go through about 6,000 pictures.
Oh boy, my calendar's full right now, Nina. I'm sorry.
We're gonna need to hire some college interns to help us
Yeah,
out.
right.
I mean, this is like crazy. Oh, but guess what I found out? Okay, y'all know that his mama wrote the op-ed in the paper when Ted Bundy got executed, right?
Right.
Well, in 2000.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
To just tell people about that.
Okay, I mean, she was like, she's totally against it. And so the day and night of his execution, she's writing, this op-ed about, how cruel the punishment is. And at one part, she even says that she thinks that he had the potential to be a good man, but what I found odd was I was like stalking his sister's Twitter.
Okay.
And in 2017, she shared a YouTube video. And that YouTube video is called Stranger Beside Me, an homage to Ted Bundy.
Wow.
I was like, what the heck? What, two people in the same family paying, why?
Yeah, this is really weird. This is starting to sound like, oh my gosh, is this a Huerman family? Rex?
Yeah, like, do
out
they
there?
have discussions about things like this?
Wow, that is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that was really odd.
Yeah, that is weird.
So, okay, with you being in the field that you're in, you know who Roy Baumeister is, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, I got brave and emailed him.
Oh.
I don't know why I thought that he would respond, but he did.
Oh my gosh. Tell us.
And so for anybody that doesn't know, Roy Baumeister, like Freud is Sigmund Freud is known for all that crazy stuff, I never thought I'd be 56 reading Freud, but that's how deep I've gone. And so Roy Baumeister is the one that, what's it called? He's like accredited or whatever to the ego delusion and threatened egotism.
Uh-huh.
And so I emailed him and said, look, I've been going with this and I just need to know, am I crazy? And so that's what I'm hunting is I was going to read you the response that he wrote back. I can find the first part of it, but you know what? It's probably in my email. That would be easier, wouldn't it?
Wow. That is so interesting. Wow. Thank you for and he has to do with like self-awareness, like self-control or self-determination, maybe. And that's really interesting. I'm so glad you did that. How can you not find? Is it in your email?
Well, I just now went to my email. Unfortunately, I was going through my pictures.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Huh.
And so, but I mean, it's really interesting. And I found out that okay, it says, you ready?
Yeah, I'm really ready.
Thanks for the interesting email. Threatened egotism and ego depletion are two of my contributions, but I had never really linked them. I don't think one escalates into the other, but if they coincided, it could be real trouble. Self-control restrains most aggressive impulses. Threatened egotism could create violent impulses, which one might normally restrain, but if depleted, then one might not stop oneself from enacting them. Ego depletion has mostly been treated as a temporary state. If he's already resisted some violent impulses, then he might possibly just go ahead and give in. But still, going to a sorority house and seeking out people to kill seems a bit more premeditated. Note, some mental illnesses also weaken self-control. possibly via biochemical processes. Low blood sugar, I had no idea about this. Low blood sugar, for example, creates a vulnerability to failing at self-control, and I've been told that low blood sugar is a common occurrence with schizophrenia.
Oh.
And ongoing wrestling with inner demons could certainly cause ego depletion. I don't know anything about this particular case, and it would be unprofessional of me to pronounce judgment on a particular person, but I am willing to talk about general principles and patterns with you.
Oh, wow. That's super cool. Would you forward me that email? So
I
can
was
just
pretty
read it with my
excited.
own eyes? Yeah, awesome.
But I couldn't believe he emailed me back.
Oh, our crafted evidence. I ask that people don't share emails in the chat. I'll tell you why later. I want to go over it right now, but I've had some bad experiences. It's for your protection. Not that they couldn't find your email, but yeah. That's really crazy. I'm so glad you reached out to him. That is so freaking super interesting, Nina. That's very cool. Oh my gosh.
Well,
and just right, Cuff, you said that is freaking so interesting. We were just saying almost the same words. Cuff, you email me, okay? Because you won a prize in the raffle. As I said, if anyone's listening and they did the raffle, I'm going to contact all of you. I just didn't want to announce that in the beginning of the live stream because this live stream happens to be about a serious current issue. Like with, it's not like, not that the Watts case isn't serious, but we're talking about something in the past. This is a little more fresh. Some people had, it just felt a little uncomfortable, but I will be contacting all of you tonight or tomorrow, and including you, Cuff You. So please email me. Okay.
Boy, Cuff You, she's super. I like her.
Yeah, she is.
I like all your people. I like all our people.
Well, she said she wants to help you with those photos.
I know. I really like her now.
Yeah, I know. Cuff You is awesome. She is awesome. Well, guys, listen, I don't want to end this abruptly, but I do have to work in the morning and we are approaching 2 hours. So I am going to have to wrap this up. But my gosh, there are so many interesting things we can pick up on from this conversation and, talk about. And thank you guys for coming up on panel. I really appreciate it.
For sure. Thank you, Kelly, for all you do.
Thank you.
I know it's a lot to gather, a lot to put together. And I know you're still in session right now. So
yes,
so busy.
Very
Today
busy.
was the last day for me. I'm stuck with the kiddos for a couple.
Oh, I know. Well, congratulations on kindergarten graduation. That's awesome.
Yes, I did a little crafting today for them. So
that's so. And everyone go check out Crafted Evidence's channel again. She talks about some true crime. She crafts. She does all this, really like a variety of things. So definitely go check it out.
Well, Kelly, I do hope that we do get on with the case because when you have some time off, then you can kind of dedicate it to your research and you do it so well. So
thank you. I really appreciate that. You're a sweetheart. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jennifer.
All right, ladies, I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Have a great night. Everyone go check out Crafted Evidence. And also Warning Label Nina. My gosh, my two girls with channels here. Warning Label Nina and Crafted Evidence. Is there a moderator that could possibly throw their channel
throw that in there so I can grab
it. Yeah, could you find Warning Label Nina's too and put it in there?
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, of course. So
and if you do I?
Yeah. Do you have anything else you just got to say right now?
I want to tell you that when you watch a couple of those little videos, please just shoot me a text of you laughing or something.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm excited. I'm going to watch a couple of them right now.
You need to laugh.
Oh, I do need to laugh. You're right about that. All I saw was earlier, like I saw your message that said, you're going to laugh your ass off. And I'm like, what's going to be funny about this? Because I was thinking it's just like the live stream today, but then I saw the link there. So I'm sorry about that. I just like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've got him singing Raining Men and all kind of stuff.
Oh, my God. I love it. That's so funny. And everybody, I just put the link to my Brian Koberger documentary in the chat. It's not just that I'm trying to promote my video at this point, whatever happens to that video is in the past, but I think that there's a lot of really interesting information here. Her channel is Warning Label Nina, Crafted Evidence. Yeah.
And that's so funny because Kelly, I was just about to be like, well, I'm dropping this one because I'm watching it tomorrow.
Awesome.
All right, ladies. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Jennifer. Have a good night. Okay.
Thank you,
All right,
Kelly.
Lisa,
Go get some rest.
thank you very much. I'm going to watch your videos. I'll let you know what I think. And thank you so much for coming up. You're great.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope that you found the discussion, the information that we covered to be informative and interesting. Again, I just do want to say that the owners of the video camera footage from 1112 King Road, who were the residents of that house at the time of the tragedy, it is that video camera, I'm sorry, the security camera footage that was just released through Dateline. They did not give that to anybody other than the authorities. They've been very responsible with it all along, as I shared with you earlier. And, you know, they just want people to know that, because again, they know that I talked about, you know, having seen snippets of it, not the relevant parts for the trial, but just for understanding the clarity of it. So, you know, it's a good place for them to follow up with that. So, oh yeah, Dr. Vanna liked my documentary. Hey, thank you. Oh, Sirius Blast liked it too. We've got some big influencers here who like my documentary, endorsing my documentary. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. And thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I will be doing another live stream this week. I'm not sure when. Will be tomorrow night, probably not. Friday night, perhaps. Probably Friday night. So I hope you are there for that. Also, if you haven't seen my latest Watts drop, it's a chunky 95 minutes long. So get comfortable. And it's the Ultimatum 2 video. And there is some new information in there that was learned through the Watts the Obsession team's investigation. And also 2 other people I work with. I explained it. I don't know. I explained it recently. I don't remember if it's in the video or not. So yeah, check that out too. And thank you so much for being here. And please do remember that life is hard for all of us. So please be kind to one another, and especially please be good to yourself. Do something nice for yourself tonight and tomorrow, because you, my beautiful friend, absolutely deserve it. And I'll see you next time.